Oh, you did. Oh, get it out here.
Okay, there you go. Whenever your time is done.
Okay, right. No, if I can get up to speed. Yeah, the slow community and also the slow council of elders is something like, how do we get that more active again? But yeah, part of it is, I guess, virtual winter. And also it's just trying to figure out how to get more interactions on screen in a way. So, yeah, like I said, I really like the last data science thingy from Mike Wallover, just because there was more interaction on screen between these people. So anything where people, it's not just one person talking, that makes no difference. It's like where you just get either wiggle moves and two others together to chat on something or get some more feedback. Let's figure out how to get that working in a way. If there's somebody who feels like, hey, I like to be Twitch host or so,
Yeah.
that might work. But and also with the switching from Slack to Rocket Chat to Discord, you lose a lot of sort of the history that you search through. But on Discord, they actually search works, and with Rocket Chat, it was rather random. So we'll build it up again, but and the forum is still there. So it's
Do you have the history?
I think it got downloaded and it's somewhere there, but yeah, it's also not it's a bit of a barrier again to just go through these files and try to figure out what's in there. And for me, it's easier because I've been through most of the history, so I know it. So, but it's for newcomers, it's a bit harder to see what's going on. Yeah, Discord will expand over time. We just keep chatting and keep adding data there, and then we'll switch to the next thing years.
I have to say I miss one thing at Discord, which is the ability to bookmark some like messages.
Yeah.
Because in Rocket Chat it was possible to like click stars.
Right.
And then you click like maybe like start things. You get like all the interesting things you bookmark. And in Discord it's not possible.
Can you forward them to yourself or to your own server or something?
I think there is some like extension you can like install at the server, so you make it possible, but the owner of the server has to do it. So
That's what it is.
That's good. But that would be just even a small addition like that where you can bookmark your stuff.
I think like the Discord is way better, but
yeah,
this is like missing. I think like bookmark is on that.
That's a good one.
You just put it in the chat and you can start the team. It's pretty easy to install bots on Discord without any security issues.
Yes. But how's it for you? Because it is quite quiet. So you're just chugging along on your own, or what?
Well, it might be as well the cultural thing, you know. When I used to have the people coming from abroad to Czech Republic, then I warned them, you know, if they will clap the hand, this is raiding success. and then one guy who was from Sweden said, well, you cannot be as bad as Swedish guys. And he was telling me the story, so there was a kind of a presentation in front of the Finnish guys, and it was like silence. You know, like no reaction at all, you know. And he said, well, so no question, nothing. You know, so who will be asking me the first question will got this nice t-shirt? And again, the silence, and then one hand slowly raising. Said, what is the size of the t-shirt?
I finish a quite a reputation. They know very well what kind of boots you're wearing because that's what they'll be looking at when they're standing in front of you. No, but yeah, it's still good. I'm quite responsive on Rocket Chat on Discord still.
So what happened to the arbitrage? Because
I think
you know, I remember
he got a public
No.
He also got a public function where he should have no public profile. Like he's working at the central bank in one of the states in the US. So if he's chatting about what the market does, he needs clearance from his boss. So he's been
to like chat privately.
Private still works, but he got way more careful. So then he couldn't get clearance to host again. So he did finish his PhD and got married and stuff like that. But if somebody else is feeling like chatty, just see if it works. You did a bit with the spaces, but it sometimes was.
Yeah, I mean, arbitrage. He actually came to our Tokyo meetup. He got approval from the central bank to come out. But what's interesting, this is also the same case though with Richard. It's like when Richard did his presentation in New York, he didn't get his presentation approved before he did it, and that's why we couldn't like post it. But like arbitrage actually like created his presentation, and he actually had to run it through the Fed or whatever to like make sure that it was okay to like talk about, and then he also has to like give a public disclaimer every time that he speaks in public. So yeah, it's interesting, but
That's a handicap.
yeah. But I mean, he's a busy guy. Now he's got his he finished his PhDs, working at the Fed, and
There will be kids coming at some point.
kids.
Does he have still models or?
I think that probably does.
I think that's still going on.
I mean, it's interesting. I mean, for myself, like I've been super busy, like trying to get like out of the Web 2 into Web 3. So I created models on V4, and then I was running them for a while, but I never put any of them on compute. And I had like 10 models or 9 models or something that I have running on compute, but most of them are on still the old data set. But it like still works a little bit. And literally I just let them run like every week, and I get the set of emails like your submission went through, and it's like I haven't done anything. But now that I'm a little bit more free, maybe we should do some more stuff too. Because I mean, we were hosting.
So one guess, so I just gave a presentation on flats. Maybe we could ask the other guy that made the Python package to just do a Twitch interview or something that can be posted online. Because the people adding tools is also just a good one. And me publishing flat triggers him to actually, okay, I'll just wrap up what I'm using and put it online as well, which is good. And we need something like that for diagnostics, and I'm not sure where we're standing on signals. There were some people doing stuff there also. Just get a bit more of the open source stuff out there, and then whenever somebody does, invite them to give a talk about it, that we can put online somewhere. I think that might work. It's one way to get some engagement, and just there were people paying attention when I was talking about flats, so that was good.
Yeah, I mean, when we were running spaces, I mean, when do you think we started those? Like, because it wasn't initially, we didn't start this weekly, we were doing like this Friday space on our Council of Elders Twitter account, and it like started pretty well. I mean, we would get maybe 20 to 30 people in there initially. Every once in a while, you know, Richard and the team would pop into the chats as well and come up and say hello and hang out. But literally, I think if you took a chart of ETH and you took a chart of people who showed up to our spaces and put them next to each other, you'd probably see the same correlation. It's just difficult. And it's like one of those things where we can do all these things. We can bring back the newsletters, we can bring back the spaces, we can start back up office hours. But like, how many people are actually gonna read the newsletters? How many people are actually gonna watch, you know, join the space?
You could look at the number of people that watch like the Fireside chat.
Yeah.
Or the quant clubs, just see what kind of numbers those get over time. That might still be reasonable numbers actually. Yeah. But in total, I guess maybe there's 250 to 500 people modeling in tournaments. We all have like multiple models, and some of them might have left, but the computer still runs. So
Yeah. Well, I think the thing you have to remember though too is like when things are run officially, like you'll definitely get more attendance. But like when you have a community doing something, like you don't get the same thing. Like you might get 50 people showing up to a Fireside, but you can tell people a week in advance, a month in advance, we're gonna run this space and have like 5 people show up. So it's interesting times right now. But maybe we should go back and talk about like proposals and stuff, because we haven't really seen any like new proposals from the community. I'm sure there's stuff that people want to see built, and also make a little bit of NMR from it as well. Can you guys have comments on that?
Yeah, so we recently had somebody getting like quite a big bonus for, I think he meant an Azure pipeline or something, where they had to run, had to compute models on Azure cloud. So, and that worked through like first building it and then getting sort of a reward. And the council was still slowly discussing, hey, should we reward this guy when Numerai still stepped in and, okay, here's your reward book. Which is nice, because sometimes we are a bit slow as well, just between ours on the active GOB sort of phased out a little bit, and then so it's good that Numerai itself is also paying attention to what's happening. So you could just also build stuff and put it in there, but it would be nice. Yeah, we used to have this pipeline of you write a proposal and then it sort of gets approved, and then there's an elder assigned to you. But yeah, the other thing is the open source where you just build it and show it, and then it gets attention as well.
So I just got an idea.
Yeah. Then you need to target this thing.
Yeah. So I just look at your new library, right? The optimizer, and I got my dashboard also in arms. Maybe there's integration between them, so I can do something else to integrate your two with my dashboard.
Yep.
So what the user will get, the new user will get, is that they can pick a few models and optimize it directly.
And we're using ours, so you're free to just copy, steal, and modify anything out of it.
I'm thinking about a proposal and see how it works, and that could be beneficial to.
I think the license I used was the M license, because it's a common name.
Okay.
Because like, I don't know what you might, it's a weird kind of license, but it gives you a lot of freedom.
Okay. Yeah. But the new tool, I would just use Archie 2 to make it easier. Yeah, that could be one that I could do in the coming weeks or months. Yeah.
I believe there was also the idea to have this on Numerai. You can buy multiple models and then just put them together automatically.
Yeah.
I don't know how that would be.
Yeah, anyway, so something that's, so the compute thing often is like you run a single model and it gets submitted, and you might want to do something like ensemble your models. And there's not really an easy way to like submit a model and then request to get the model back from Numerai or so. Like, I want to download the CSV, I just submit it. Because then you can have a second program that's just querying, is the CSV there already? And then if it has for all 5 models, it gets a yes, it downloads all of them, makes an ensemble and submits an ensemble one. So for me, it's just, okay, it's easier to have just one big computer running and doing all things and estimating everything itself, than to go into these little computer things that are parallel, just because I want to make an ensemble at the end. But yeah, Numerai solves it partially, because it's also automatic. Numerai has its own webhook, right? So it does that. It can also pull, ask your model somewhere to provide predictions, and then it gets uploaded to Numerai.
Yeah, it's like, it just depends how you set it up. Let me take a look actually. I know there was like some statistics that to the site.
Anyone here have a bot model on our predictions on the page? What?
Yeah. You still haven't been around doing that. That's on my list.
Yeah, so I mean,
For submitting or just for comparing?
For submitting.
yeah, so you can see here, I mean, there is like a direct wallet connection. So if you're like holding NMR in like your non-custodial wallet, you can actually just click this button, connect. This is like the web, I guess you call this the Web3 way. If you have like a MetaMask wallet, you can just directly, I'm sure that'll probably be the first option when I click on it. Yeah. So I mean, that's like what you use for payments. So as soon as you connect like your own personal MetaMask wallet, you can create a profile, and then depending on that profile.
You don't speak in the box, I think, what you can do.
Yeah, I don't even remember my. Let's see.
Not the password. I hope it's Fireside.
I don't even remember what I would have used. Hold on. No? Damn it, let's try this one.
Use the password manager.
I don't have one on his.
It's mine.
This isn't mine. So I want to see. No. One more try. I don't know. I don't remember.
But go to the docs, and I think it was say what you can do. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's automated submission there. Oh, that's cool. We got like little tutorials now. Yeah, it was definitely been built out a lot over the past. How long has it been now? A year and a half. We got buy, sell. We also do stake weighted voting.
What is it? Yeah, Ensemble and number blocks. So Rest Trading has been doing a great job. So this is way beyond, I think.
Yeah, so I mean, this is like a full tutorial on making a simple ensemble, installing Numerai, initializing the client, downloading the predictions, and then ensembling by simple average.
So I could just sell my models on Numerai and buy them myself and then ensemble them.
Yeah.
It's a way around the Numerai. Yeah. So it's a way around so that Numerai doesn't allow me to download my data. I could sort of do it from Numerai and ensemble it.
Yeah, actually, I was going to say, Richard got actually kind of scared of Numerai at one point. This was like a year ago. What he didn't realize is when we created Numerai, he thought we were just making it for the classic tournament. But when he found out that we were also doing it for signals, he kind of like freaked out for a second. Because he sort of like realized in his head, like if there's this like whole marketplace that's built based on like signals predictions, like you can actually see like where the signals of each stock are. So like if you were a competing hedge fund that wanted to also build their own AI hedge fund, you had like 500 signals models in here. You could literally go in and buy every single signals file and like ensemble and create your own optimizer and run your own hedge fund with the data. I guess fortunately or unfortunately, like that hasn't come up yet. But what's interesting though is that for like data scientists, that's good for us. Like that might not be good for them, but it's like data scientists and people that are like posting this stuff on here. Like that's good for us. It's also good for NMR, which I always thought was a really cool use case for NMR. I know there's like a lot of like people that don't really care about the NMR aspect of it, but you can only purchase models on here in NMR. So if it got to the point where there was like enough data scientists competing, enough prediction files, enough signals files, enough interest from hedge funds other than Numerai that see what we're doing, that might be interested in buying up models. I mean, think of how much money is involved with hedge funds that are paying for data. Like when you're going in and I mean, this was something Arbitrage always talked about, is he hated seeing that people were, going into Numerai and trying to sell their models for only like 1 NMR a week.
Yeah,
so you can see here, like, here's a daily, this person selling for 0.4 NMR for 1 round, which, I mean, I guess it's a bear market. Nobody is really, and it's crazy because look, it says TC from high to low, right? So like, let's check this one out. I mean, it doesn't look too, that doesn't look good to me.
Do you have a, does that accumulate?
But why is it,
Is that even working right?
There's a 30-day piece here.
Let's do like 3 months return from high to low. Like this person got an 85% return, but how did they get 85%?
Well, the 1 day state return is minus 26%.
Yeah.
It's impressive.
Well, and look, you see that. Oh, that's icy. Never mind. It's interesting, but let's. This is actually the classic. So let's go over to signals real quick. Oh, we are in signals. So yeah, I mean, there's like all these cheap, like super cheap models, and like they can also do bad. You know, it's like one of those things where like the hedge funds are gonna want all the data they have. So a hedge fund can literally come in and like in the what we call it NFT world, like sweep the floor of the project. Like they can go in and just click buy, and buy like all these models up and do their own thing. So I think that's one thing. You know, Richard at one point had tweeted like, "I'm giving the COE $100,000. Let's see what they can do to bring like value back." And he said something about potentially seeing $1 million plus in like return value over time with that. Like this could be it at some point. To me, I don't know. What do you guys think?
I feel this looks attractive to spend time on, basically. And I think Russ did a fantastic job in building this over time. So we funded it, and we're paying for his hours, but we used to get credit for getting it all together and figuring it out. So it's been a great side project, and we don't have an example like that. And now the second example where we have something that's successful with that fund.
I have a question in terms of these like the portfolios and Numerai. I was just thinking like since we can do this shorting of a model, couldn't we also do like a weighted predictions of different models and then just upload that? Wouldn't that perform the same as the uploading of the different models and then just weighing the stakes?
So I do that. I have a Bohr meta model which is doing that for my stakes. So it's basically stakes are weighted by some kind of like 50%, 20%, 10%, whatever, and then the meta model is built using those weights and then has its own separate stake. But I haven't seen if they sort of perform equally. Like that would be a big test actually to do at some point.
Because then the different model slots would be unnecessary.
You could go for your own one meta model. Yeah, I'm not there yet, but it's a good idea to try out. Because then you just need one slot and then you're done. Yeah. Do you speak louder?
I will speak on. Actually, Stefan had a very interesting idea. That's now the price is flat, but what if it was present of the stake that the buyer stakes on the other? Like it would be hard to implement, but it's an idea how to bring the balance.
Yeah, it might be hard to implement. Like, at no point people will cheat around it, I think, because even if it's, I would just make an account with a very low stake. I buy the stake, it's automatically submitted, but then I put that account on Numerai again and buy it myself. So people will try to find a way around it. So, and it's also part of the obligation of the one that's selling it to put a price in there. So what all sold for nothing for so long? I think he went up in price after a while, but the price low. That is also his worth. The seller has to do some work to figure out how much he's worth. But it looks like I should spend more time on Numerai actually. Yeah, it looks interesting. But I still have to get like computers working in like the per model one in a way that you might build rather than having a server running and stuff.
I have one thing, so I mean, I think we can, break in different things. A couple of times you mentioned diagnostics, I almost stopped using that at all.
I don't use it at all, but
because now it's the confession panel, and it's like Numerai, anonymous. I think and I train all the validation data, yes.
You should.
And then, of course, nonsense is coming out of the data.
Yeah.
So.
No, but you should train on validations. You should take a chunk of data to ignore. But then I was more thinking that we need just a library, like a Numerai kind of library that you plug into this flow for beginners also to get validation information, not just from here you can blindly tweak parameters and you have a new model, but you need a step in between. This is how your model performs. Now you can make a little loop and do your performance parameters or whatever.
I forgot to wear my cape during the. I gotta wear my cape during the Fireside chat.
Like a diagnostics library that's using this.
So then, basically the approach is have the model, observe it for some period of time, if it will be performing better.
Yeah, I would say just give a range of errors or a vector of errors without validation data, and then get feedback from that. And people can choose to compare how they're training data versus validation data. There's two big differences there. You might say, okay, we're using not regularizing enough. You can just do that.
The main problem with that is that you cannot talk about
No. Right now, I cannot perform anyway in DC, so that doesn't matter that much for me. But so it's sort of a non-problem for me. I don't manage to get it with DC. But but do you get DC from diagnostics if you submit it now? No, so you don't get that now.
I think it's just like the main objective to anything that you can measure it. If it's a group, then you are guaranteed to see the always forward testing.
Yeah, and that takes time. It takes like months. Although
I do something similar to what you described as the hill climbing, so well, here is the idea, and try to improve it. Cloning, running against each other.
But there's a bunch of us doing those kind of things, so it's sort of fun. It's one way to automation around this. Yeah. I think we're almost ready for beer, right?
Yeah, I just had to get my foot done before. I didn't fly it 3,000 miles.
Maybe I have a different question. What do you guys think of the current Yoda period? Is this like some signal decay, or is this more likely caused by some exposure to small factor? Well, if you by any chance already took a look on what could be the possible cause of the performance loss?
And Numerai, how they calculate the targets.
So I've heard two things already. Like one is Richard said that they opened up the volatility allowance on the optimizer. So that makes for larger swings right away. Another thing you were talking about was the impact of AI in some way, like either the hype of is your company using AI or just the whole who is producing the hardware, if there's something like that happening. We're wondering about that. I'm still wondering about how VC is affecting things. Like, I'm not convinced it's the they might need another 1 or 2 iterations to get it right. And that makes part of it. So that maybe TC is actually sort of making stuff more volatile.
But also the correlation was really bad.
Yeah.
Definitely there was
Yeah,
a
but
shift because previously with the zero TC, it was kind of a middle in the distribution. Now it definitely shifts, more to the.
But if you have zero PC, you are like 60 or 70% bad.
Yeah. So it's not a zero-sum game, right? That was the discussion.
Somebody who's like the graph.
Yeah, I've seen it, but then I'm checking the.
Is that go TC?
Yeah, so apparently this time everybody has connected TC or something like that. Yeah. Or more than
I
that.
haven't even looked at my models. I just know if they're still in the model.
I know some people made like 50% burn already.
Yeah.
Last month.
I'm scared.
I'm not doing that. So you know I'm risk averse, so I'm not doing that. So I had a 5% burn over the whole period, last 2 months or something. So that's nice. Yeah.